Raider Nation, what is going on? Coming to you guys tonight because I wanted to cover some free agents. Obviously, we have the NFL Combine that's underway right now. We got some player measurements going on. We have some prospects getting tested here soon. But I wanted to get this video out talking about some initial free agents that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be targeting. Whether that's a high percentage chance of us getting them or a low percentage chance, hopeful guys that we want to fall into our lap or not. But first, really, actually, I want to introduce you guys to DC4L Custom Tees. If you guys recognized a t-shirt that I wore a couple weeks ago, a Mo Belly, Mo Problems. This is the same t-shirt company. This is a Josh Jacobs special shirt. I'm going to drop the link in the bio, and this link is not only going to take you to this shirt, but it's going to take you to Raider Cody Picks because I've teamed up with these guys. And I'm going to show you some of my favorite t-shirts that they have available. And I'm going to keep adding to them, whether it's weekly, monthly, whatever. A new shirt drops, something special comes out. So save that link. Keep it handy. Keep checking. If you want a special t-shirt that you see in one of my videos, if you see me wearing a shirt in one of my videos, it's going to be in that link if you guys want it. But like I said, we're talking free agents, so let's get into it. And first, I want to talk about our own. Of course, we got Mike Glennon, Deshaun Kaiser, two free agents coming up. They were backup quarterbacks, which a lot of Raider fans wanted Deshaun Kaiser to maybe start at quarterback at some point last season. Whew. The Raiders are letting him walk. We have DeAndre Washington, who is a backup running back and filled in kind of in a featured role. Raiders are supposedly going to let him test free agency as well. And not surprising because I'm sure he wants maybe a feature back role because he's not going to get that opportunity later in his career at this point. He signs with the Raiders next year. There's a good chance that Josh Jacobs does not get hurt like he did at the end of last season. And DeAndre Washington is not going to get that same opportunity. And that also leads into a couple other guys I want to cover. That's Daryl Worley and Carl Joseph. Daryl Worley, Carl Joseph, I'm sure two guys that maybe see their value a little bit higher than what they are. They're going to want to go into free agency. They're going to test the market. They've both been in contact with the Raiders. I'm sure they're interested at some point, but that's also going to see what the Raiders are, looking at free agency themselves. There could be a replacement out there. And that's what I look to cover here. So let's get into our first guy, Chris Jones. Chris Jones from the Chiefs. I imagine right off the bat, he's going to be taking a contract that's over $20 million, but most likely he's going to see the franchise tag. Last year he had 58 total pressures and 9 sacks, and that was actually a little down than his year before, which is surprising. Normally contract years are huge. I think he had like over 70 pressures. He had like 15 or 16 sacks in 2018. Huge impact. So obviously, like I said, I don't see the Chiefs letting him go. I see a franchise tag at the bare minimum. Otherwise, there's going to be a contract extension because he had a huge impact. But if he does become available, trust me, the Raiders are going to be big in on Chris Jones because that is the player that they need exactly. Some interior pressure along with Max Crosby would be huge. Now, the next guy I see, Justin Simmons. Now, talked about Justin Simmons maybe a week ago. I said maybe he wasn't a big name, so he might not be a big number. Let me correct myself. Actually, let Ben Albright correct myself. And it seems like the Broncos are not going to be letting Justin Simmons walk away from him. Now, if he just so happens to actually walk away from him, even if he gets franchise tagged, whatever, the Raiders are going to be interested and they're going to be watching like hawks for Justin Simmons to hit the open market. If he does, trust me, perfect fit, ball hawk safety, center fielder, Justin Simmons, Chris Jones, two guys now that I see that can be huge impact players, that are going to be big money players, but would be number 1 and number 2 on the Raiders free agent list. Now, as we get going down a little bit, I see a guy like Corey Littleton. And Corey Littleton might be a big money linebacker, but I can see him not getting retained because the Rams do not have the money to keep Corey Littleton around. He's only 26 years old. You saw what like C.J. Mosley got last year. Really getting a lot. He's going to be getting, seriously, I'd say 14, 13 mil a year. Something, the dude's going to get paid at least. Who knows the exact number that's going to be going on Corey Littleton because it's probably going to be a bidding war. He's probably going to get well overpaid as a linebacker, but who knows? Maybe there's a chance that the Raiders are able to jump on it. I'm sure they're going to be inquiring about him, to say the least. I'm sure he's definitely on the list, but I'd say he's definitely the top linebacker given his age, given the upside. So Corey Littleton from the Rams, right there in the mix of things. But while we're on the subject of linebackers, I want to talk about actually let's bring up some New England Patriots. And the only time I'm going to talk about Tom Brady is saying the only way Tom Brady's going to help us this year is by re-signing a massive deal with New England. So he goes back to New England, let's say that 2-year, $30 million contract. New England spends the rest of their money that they possibly can to surround him with some targets. Guess what? They've got to let some defenders walk. First one's going to be Kyle Van Noy, linebacker. Kind of an all-around guy. These last 3 years, Kyle Van Noy has seen an increase in snaps, an increased role in that defense. Well, 2017, 2018, he was an all-around linebacker. He dropped into coverage, he split snaps, dropping into coverage, split snaps, rushing the passer, excelled at both. This last year, he kind of primarily switched into a rushing the passer role, and I think he came away pretty well. He had like 20 pressures, 8 sacks as a linebacker. I'll give it to him. I mean, we could find a role for him in a pass rushing situation. I'd love to be able to have a linebacker that can drop into coverage still and still play well. Kyle Van Noy, I think, is probably the number one realistic free agent target that the Raiders are going to have, as well as, while we're talking about Patriots, Devin McCourty. And Devin McCourty is a safety that, I think a lot of people are writing off because of his age, right? He's 32 years old. But for me, I see a guy that maybe took a little less snaps than his entire career, but he increased his yards per attempt. I mean, he was at one point the last 2 or 3 years in, 2017, 2018, as a safety, like normal safeties, allowing like 10 yards per attempt while in coverage. He allowed 6.8 yards per attempt in 2019. He had 5 interceptions, and he allowed an NFL passer rating of 41.8 while in coverage. Devin freaking McCourty, 32 years old. I think him and Kyle Van Noy, I would not be surprised if these two were signed as Raiders next year. And that's actually going to take me into my next topic here while we're talking linebackers, while we're talking defensive players, because for me, I'm pretty much all defense in free agency. Blake Martinez. Blake Martinez is another guy the Packers are not expected to re-sign. They have some money. They want to surround Aaron Rodgers, obviously, with some more talent. And Blake Martinez is a tackling machine. The Packers defense is really good last year. Blake Martinez was a big part of that. So really, you let this guy slip away. We need a middle linebacker. We need that green dot. We have guys like Vontaze Burfict that just got out of, suspension. He just got reinstated. He could be a safety net, but really, is he a safety net? No. As much as I love Vontaze, as much as I love him as a football player, we cannot rely on him for 16 games next year. So, I gave you Van Noy as an outside linebacker. Blake Martinez is a middle linebacker that is an absolute tackling machine. Next guy, Joe Schobert. And I want to give a shout out real quick to my guy Grizz Turner on Twitter, @Grizz_NFL. And my buddy Grizz, is really high on Joe Schobert. He's really sold me on him. He's one of those guys he's played in the same defense, really. He's a true middle linebacker. He's a high character player, exactly like Mike Mayock and John Gruden are looking for. And he's a dude that can step in. He wore the green dot in Cleveland. We need a dude that can wear the green dot. We had a guy like Will Compton step in middle of last season and take over those duties. Well, Joe Schobert's a guy that can really step in and is worth investing in for the future. So, those linebackers are huge. To wrap it up, like I said, Van Noy, Martinez, and Joe Schobert. Now for me, some of my favorites that I'd like to see us maybe try and target are Tony Jefferson. Tony Jefferson, a safety. Obviously, he played for the Cardinals at one point. Last couple of years, he was playing with the Ravens. Duo at some point with Eric Weddle before Eric Weddle went to the Rams. Tony Jefferson, dude, grew up a Raider fan. This is his chance to end his career in the silver and black. He loves the Raiders. Absolutely loves the Raiders. I'm all for it. All for players like that want to play for our team. And again, a high character guy. He's a leader on the team. And he's a good playmaker. Honestly, throw him back there. Let him go to work. We've had opportunities in the past to get Tony Jefferson. I don't know if that has any effect on what we do now. We didn't take the opportunity then. Hopefully we do now for 2020. But another guy I'd like to see that seems like a long shot, former Bronco and short-time 49er, Emmanuel Sanders. Big-time wide receiver, playmaker, has the speed, and has the leadership for a wide receiver group that I think we need. Whether he's available, not really sure. But if he does, hopefully we jump on it because I'm sure John Gruden absolutely loves Emmanuel Sanders. And the last couple guys I want to go over real quick. 2 defensive ends that I think can come in, veteran leadership. One, Robert Quinn. This is probably the most realistic option coming out of Rod Marinelli's system. I keep emphasizing this because I feel like Rod Marinelli's going to be all over this. And really, Robert Quinn can come in. His new defensive line coach is his old defensive coordinator. I think he can come in and like I said, I keep saying old Cowboys along with Byron Jones. I'd love to have us take a shot at Byron Jones. All depends on what we can do with the rest of free agency. Obviously, we have a lot of money that we can spend, but we can't get everybody. You get those one or two splash guys, you get those one or two veterans, and then you fill the rest through the draft. And the last guy I want to review is obviously going to be Everson Griffin. And the only reason he's a guy to watch now is because he voided the last couple years of his contract with the Vikings. We're going to see what that leads to. He could just re-sign with the Vikings. Who knows? Maybe he becomes available. Everson Griffin's obviously a guy that John Gruden loves because last time we played the Vikings, that was like one of his biggest concerns was Everson Griffin on that defense. So, to review, here are some guys that I thought the Raiders are going to target. And let me know in the comments if I missed somebody out of this list that you think the Raiders will target or that you hope that the Raiders will target. Chris Jones from the Chiefs, Justin Simmons from the Broncos, Corey Littleton from the Rams, Kyle Van Noy and Devin McCourty from the Patriots, Blake Martinez from the Packers, Joe Schobert from the Browns, Tony Jefferson from the Ravens, Emmanuel Sanders from the Broncos, the 49ers actually now, Robert Quinn from the Cowboys, and Everson Griffin from the Vikings, as well as, I guess I'll throw in a little signature there, Byron Jones, because I've been banging the table for Byron Jones myself. Haven't heard anything on the Raiders going for him, but I would love to see it. Would love to see him paired up with Rod Marinelli into Paul Guenther's scheme. But like I said, any questions, any concerns, if you think I missed somebody on this list, I'd love to cover them later before free agency. Drop it in the comments. Hit the like button if you like this list, because I'm telling you, these are some guys that the Raiders are seriously looking at. This isn't just my list. These are some guys that the Raiders are seriously looking at. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit that little gray bell in the corner for future videos. Hit that like button if you like this video. And until the next episode, I'll see you guys later.